Welcome back, Force fans, to The Force Fiction, where we rewrite the Star Wars galaxy one wild what-if at a time. Today we're diving into an epic tale. What if Padmé Amidala wasn't just Naboo's queen or a senator, but a Jedi Knight? That's right, say goodbye to royal gowns and hello to a blue lightsaber, because in light of Naboo, Padmé's trading diplomacy for the Force, and it's about to shake the galaxy to its core. Picture this: a young Padmé, discovered by Qui-Gon Jinn, rises from Naboo's fields to become a Jedi and Senator, battling droids, guiding Anakin Skywalker, and facing the Clone Wars head-on. But hold on to your sabers. This isn't just about heroism. We've got action, heart, and a twist that'll flip everything you thought you knew. Chancellor Palpatine's a Sith Lord, and Padmé's darkest secret? A shadowy clone named Darth Sereth, born from her own soul. This is the Force fiction at its best. Jedi battles, Sith conspiracies, and a destiny that'll leave you stunned. So ignite your lightsabers, settle in, and let's explore a galaxy where Padmé's light faces her own darkness. Here we go. The galaxy shimmered with the promise of peace, yet beneath its surface simmered unrest, a tension the Jedi Order felt keenly. On the verdant world of Naboo, a young girl named Padmé Amidala knelt in a meadow, her eyes closed, her breath steady. At 14, she was no ordinary child. The Force flowed through her, a gentle current that sang of purpose and strength. She had been discovered late, too late, some Jedi argued, but Master Qui-Gon Jinn saw beyond her age. He sensed a light in her, pure and unyielding, and brought her before the Council. "She is strong in the Force," Qui-Gon had said, his voice calm but firm, standing in the temple's high chamber on Coruscant. Her compassion, her resolve, it's unlike anything I've seen. "She is too old," Master Windu countered, his brow furrowed. "Her attachments to Naboo, her family, they will cloud her path." Yoda's ears twitched, his gaze piercing. Late, yes. But the Force chooses its own time. A purpose she may have. Train her we will. And so, Padmé became a Jedi initiate, leaving behind the life she'd known. Her parents wept as she boarded the ship, but she promised to return, not as a daughter, but as a protector. Naboo's rolling hills faded from view, replaced by the gleaming spires of Coruscant, and her training began. Padmé excelled where others faltered. Her mind was sharp, honed by years of study and debate as a youth leader on Naboo. She mastered the lightsaber forms. Ataru's acrobatics suited her agility, while Sorisu's defense matched her patience. Her saber glowed blue, a reflection of her clarity, forged with a crystal she'd found in the temple's depths. But it was her connection to the Force that set her apart. She could sense emotions like the threads in a tapestry, weaving them into understanding. Diplomacy became her weapon as much as her blade. By 19, she was a Padawan under Master Ki-Adi-Mundi, her braid a symbol of her commitment. The Council sent her back to Naboo, not as a queen, though she'd once dreamed of that role, but as a guardian during the Trade Federation's blockade. The crisis was her first true test. She stood beside Qui-Gon and his own Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi, as they negotiated with Viceroy Newt Gunray. When talks failed, she fought with them, her saber flashing through droid ranks, her presence a beacon for her people. It was there she met Anakin Skywalker, a 9-year-old slave boy from Tatooine, his eyes wide with wonder. "Are you an angel?" he asked, staring at her as she deflected blaster bolts with grace. She laughed, a rare sound amid the chaos. "No, just a Jedi. What's your name?" "Anakin," he said, clutching a makeshift tool. "I'm gonna help you win." And he did. His ingenuity freed their ship, his courage sparked hope. Qui-Gon saw the Force in him too, stronger than any they'd encountered, and vowed to train him. Padmé felt it. A pull, a connection she couldn't name. As they liberated Naboo, she knelt beside him, smiling. "You're brave, Anakin. The galaxy needs more like you." He grinned, dirt smudging his face. "I'll be a Jedi someday, like you." She nodded, sensing a truth in his words, though the Force whispered of shadows she couldn't yet see. Years passed, and Padmé rose to knighthood. Her trials were grueling, facing a dark side adept on Dathomir, mediating a tribal war on Kashyyyk. But she emerged stronger, her light undimmed. The Council granted her the rank just as the Republic began to fracture, its Senate mired in corruption. She chose a path few Jedi walked, politics. With this Council's blessing, she became Senator Amidala, blending her Jedi duties with a seat on Coruscant. "The Force guides me to serve," she told Master Mundi. "I can protect more lives here than on the battlefield." Her dual role was unprecedented, and it drew scrutiny. Senators whispered of favoritism. Jedi questioned her priorities. But Padme thrived, her robes traded for elegant gowns, her saber hidden beneath diplomatic grace. She spoke for the weak, fought for justice, and carried the Force's light into the Senate's shadows. It was on Coruscant that she reunited with Anakin, now a Padawan under Obi-Wan Kenobi. Qui-Gon had fallen to Darth Maul and Naboo, leaving Obi-Wan to fulfill his master's promise. At 19, Anakin was a storm of energy, tall, restless, his Force presence a blaze of raw power. He arrived to protect her after an assassination attempt. His grin as familiar as it was disarming. "Padme," he said, bowing slightly. "Still saving the galaxy, I see." She smiled, warmth in her eyes. "And you're still the boy who flew us out of trouble. How's Jedi life treating you?" He shrugged, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. "Obi-Wan's strict. Says I'm reckless, but I'm learning." Obi-Wan, standing nearby, raised an eyebrow. "Reckless is an understatement. Senator, or Knight Amidala, he's a handful." "Call me Padme," she said, laughing. "And I'm sure he's more than that. I sense great things in him." Anakin's gaze lingered on her, a spark igniting. She felt it too, a thread of destiny tying them together. But she was a Jedi, bound by the code. Attachments were forbidden, a lesson drilled into her since her initiate days. She pushed the feeling aside, focusing on the mission. The assassination attempts escalated, and Padme's Jedi instinct sharpened. She traced the attacks to a bounty hunter, Jango Fett, hired by unknown forces. With Obi-Wan and Anakin, she pursued leads to Geonosis, where the Separatist crisis boiled over. Captured in an arena, they faced death by beast, but Padme's resolve held firm. She fought with precision, her saber a blur, freeing herself and the others as Republic reinforcements arrived. The battle that followed was chaos. Droids clashing with clones, Jedi falling to blaster fire. Padme stood with Anakin and Obi-Wan, their teamwork seamless. But she saw Anakin's fury as he chased Count Dooku, losing his hand to the Sith's blade. She rushed to his side, her Force healing easing his pain, though it couldn't mend his rage. "You're safe now," she said, her hand on his shoulder. "Let it go, Anakin." "They'll pay," he muttered, eyes blazing. "I'll make them." She frowned, sensing a darkness in him, a crack in his light. Obi-Wan joined them, his expression grim. "He's strong, Padme, but impulsive. I worry for him." "So do I," she admitted, her voice soft. "But there's hope in him, too. We'll guide him." Obi-Wan nodded, though doubt lingered in his eyes. The Clone Wars erupted, and Padme's life split between two worlds. As a Jedi Knight, she led missions, rescuing civilians on Ryloth, thwarting separatist plots on Felucia. As a senator, she rallied support for the Republic, her speeches a call to unity. Her dual role strained her, but the Force sustained her, a quiet strength that whispered of balance. Anakin became her shadow, often assigned to her protection. Their bond grew, a friendship tempered by shared battles and late-night talks. On a quiet evening aboard a Republic cruiser, as stars streaked past, he confessed his struggles. "The Jedi tell me to let go of my past," he said, staring at his mechanical hand. "But I can't forget my mother, the slaves on Tatooine. And what's the point of power if I can't save them?" Padme sat beside him, her presence calm. "Power isn't the answer, Anakin. Compassion is. The Force isn't about control. It's about harmony." He looked at her, searching. "You really believe that?" "I do," she said, her voice steady. "It's why I'm here, to help, not to rule." He nodded, though a flicker of doubt remained. She felt it, a pull towards something she couldn't name, a shadow creeping closer. The council grew wary. Master Windu summoned Padme to the temple, his tone stern. "Your role in the Senate blurs the lines, Knight Amidala, and your closeness to Skywalker. It's dangerous." "I serve the Force," she replied, unflinching. "Anakin's my friend, nothing more. I guide him as a Jedi should." Yoda interjected, his voice soft but piercing. "Strong your light is, but clouded the boy's path becomes. Careful you must be." She bowed, accepting their caution, but her resolve hardened. She wouldn't abandon Anakin, not when she sensed his potential, for good or ill. On Naboo, during a rare respite, she meditated by the waterfalls, the Force swirling around her. Visions came. Anakin wielding a red blade, a galaxy in flames, her own saber clashing with his. She gasped, the images fading, leaving her cold. Was this a warning? A future she could prevent? She returned to Coruscant, determined to steer him true, but the war escalated, and with it, the stakes. On Christophsis, she fought beside him again, her saber cutting through droids as he led clones with reckless bravery. Afterward, he grinned at her, sweat streaking his face. "We make a good team, don't we?" "The best," she said, smiling back. But her heart tightened. The Force whispered of trials ahead, of choices that would test them both. The tipping point loomed on the horizon. Obi-Wan, tracking a Sith conspiracy, uncovered whispers of a mastermind, someone pulling strings from the shadows. He confided in Padme, his trust in her absolute. "The Council suspects a Sith Lord in the Senate," he said, pacing her apartment. "Someone close to power." Her eyes widened. "That's impossible. I'd sense it." "Would you?" he asked, his gaze sharp. "You're stretched thin, Padme. The war, the Senate, Anakin. It's clouding your focus." She bristled, but his words struck true. "I'll investigate," she promised. "If there's darkness here, I'll find it." As he left, she stood alone, reaching into the Force. A chill brushed her senses, a presence subtle but malignant. She ignited her saber, its blue glow steadying her. "Whoever you are," she whispered, "I'm coming for you." The war raged on, and Padmé Amidala, Jedi Knight and Senator, stepped into the storm, her light a beacon against the gathering dark. But the Force trembled, hinting at a destiny entwined with Anakin's, one that could save the galaxy, or shatter it. The Clone Wars carved scars across the galaxy, a relentless tide of destruction that tested the Jedi Order's resolve. Padmé Amidala stood at its heart, her dual life as a Jedi Knight, and Senator a balancing act few could fathom. Her blue lightsaber hummed through battlefields, her voice echoed in the Senate, and her spirit burned with a determination to protect the innocent. Yet the Force whispered warnings, shadows closing in, a destiny entwined with Anakin Skywalker, and a darkness lurking closer than she dared imagine. Her investigation into Obi-Wan's suspicions consumed her. A Sith Lord in the Senate, a notion that chilled her to the core. She combed through records, shadowed colleagues, and meditated late into Coruscant's nights, reaching into the Force for answers. The presence she'd sensed grew sharper, a venomous thread weaving through the Republic's fabric. She confided in Anakin during a rare moment of quiet, their cruiser orbiting a war-torn Ryloth. "I feel it, Anakin," she said, staring at the planet's glowing scars. "Something or someone hiding in plain sight. It's poisoning everything." He leaned against the viewport, his mechanical hand flexing. "The Jedi keep saying, trust the Force, but it's not enough. We need to act, find this Sith, and end them." She nodded, sensing his impatience. "We will, but we need proof. The Council won't move without it, and the Senate's too fragile to accuse blindly." His eyes met hers, intense and searching. "You're the proof, Padme. Your instincts, your light. I'd follow you anywhere." Her heart stirred a warmth she quickly buried. "We follow the Force," she corrected gently. "Together we'll find the truth." He smiled, a flicker of the boy she'd met on Naboo, but the shadow in his presence lingered, a restlessness she couldn't soothe. The trail led to Felucia, a jungle world pulsing with life and danger. Padmé, Anakin, and Obi-Wan joined a Republic assault to liberate it from Separatist control, but her mission was twofold: battle droids and hunt the Sith's influence. The trio fought as one, Obi-Wan's precision, Anakin's fury, and Padmé's grace cutting through the enemy. She deflected blaster bolts with Soresu's calm, her saber a shield as she protected clones falling to the onslaught. In the chaos she sensed it, a ripple of malice distinct from the battle's noise. She broke from the fight, following the Force's pull to a ruined temple half swallowed by vines. Inside she found a holocron, its edges etched with Sith runes. She ignited her saber, wary, and activated it. A figure shimmered to life. Count Dooku, his voice smooth as silk. "The Republic rots from within," he said, his hologram flickering. "Our ally in the Senate ensures its fall. Patience, my friend. Our time nears." The recording ended, leaving Padme cold, an ally in the Senate. She pocketed the holocron, her mind racing. Dooku was a Sith, but this hinted at another, someone higher, pulling strings. She returned to Anakin and Obi-Wan. the battle won, but her inner unease deepened. "We have got evidence," she said, showing them the holocron. "Dooku's working with someone inside the Republic." Obi-Wan's jaw tightened. "This confirms the Council's fears. We need to get this to Coruscant, now!" Anakin's eyes blazed. "Let's confront Dooku. He'll lead us to this traitor." "Not yet," Padme cautioned. "We need to know who we're facing. Rushing in could tip them off." He scowled but relented, though his frustration simmered beneath the surface. Back on Coruscant, the Council studied the holocron, their faces grim. Master Windu's voice cut through the silence. "This is damning but incomplete. We must identify this ally before the Sith's plan unfolds." Yoda's gaze settled on Padme. "Strong, your senses are, Knight Amidala. To the Senate return you must. The truth you will find." She bowed, accepting the charge, though the weight of it pressed on her. The Senate was her domain, but now it felt like a battlefield. She resumed her senatorial duties, her Jedi instincts sharpened. She watched her peers, Orn Freetaw's bluster, Mon Mothma's idealism, Palpatine's quiet wisdom. The Chancellor, her mentor since her Queen days, offered counsel as the war raged. "You carry a heavy burden, Senator," he said one evening, his office bathed in twilight. "The Republic needs voices like yours." She smiled, and though her senses prickled. "And leaders like you, Chancellor. But I fear the war hides a greater threat." His eyes twinkled, a fatherly warmth. "Trust your instincts, my dear. They've never failed you." She left, unsettled. Palpatine's presence was a comfort, yet something gnawed at her, a dissonance she couldn't place. Anakin's turmoil grew, assigned to her protection again. He shadowed her through Coruscant's gleaming halls, his mood darkening with each mission. On a quiet night, as rain lashed her apartment's windows, he paced, his voice raw. "I had a dream, Padme. My mother, dying, screaming for me. I can't just sit here while she suffers." She knelt beside him, her hand on his. "Dreams can be warnings, not certainties. We'll find her, Anakin. I promise." He looked at her, eyes glistening. "You're the only one who gets it. Obi-Wan lectures, the Council judges, but you see me." Her breath caught, the code's warnings echoing in her mind. "I see a Jedi with a heart," she said carefully. "Hold on to that, Anakin. It's your strength." He nodded, but the force around him churned, a storm she couldn't calm. They traveled to Tatooine, tracing his mother, Shmi. They found her too late, tortured by Tusken raiders, her life fading in a dusty tent. Anakin's grief erupted, his saber slashing through the camp in a fury Padme couldn't stop. She pulled him back, her voice firm. "Anakin, enough! This isn't the way!" He turned, tears streaking his face, the bodies of the Tuskens at his feet. "They deserved it. I protected her, too late, but I did." Her heart broke for him, but fear crept in. "Revenge isn't protection. It's darkness. Let me help you through this." He collapsed into her arms, sobbing, and she held him, her light battling the shadow consuming him. The war escalated, and Padme's investigation bore fruit. She uncovered encrypted transmissions linking Dooku to Coruscant, sent from the Senate district. She traced them to a hidden terminal, her saber ready as she hacked in. The data revealed a name, Darth Sidious, the Sith mastermind, but the ally remained a cipher, their iris and identity masked. She reported to the Council, her voice steady. "Sidious is real, and their agents here. We're running out of time." Windu's eyes narrowed. "You've done well, Knight Amidala. We'll move on this, quietly." But time slipped away. On Utapau, Obi-Wan pursued General Grievous, while Padme and Anakin led a real-life mission to Kashyyyk. The Wookiees roared their thanks as she healed their wounded, her force touch a balm. Anakin fought beside her, his skill unmatched, but his anger flared. Each droid felt a release for his Mpet's pain. After the battle, he pulled her aside, his voice low. "I'm tired of waiting, Padme. The Jedi, the Senate, they're too slow. We could end this war if they'd let us." She frowned, sensing his drift. "Patience, Anakin. We're close to unmasking the Sith. That's how we win, not through force alone." He stepped closer, his intensity overwhelming. "I'd do anything for you. You know that, right?" Her pulse quickened and the line between duty and feeling blurring. "I know," she whispered. "But we're Jedi. We serve the greater good." He nodded, but his eyes burned with something unspoken. The end came on Coruscant. Obi-Wan returned, Grievous defeated, but the Sith threat loomed. Padme met with Palpatine, seeking his insight. "Chancellor, we found evidence of a Sith plot. I need your help to root it out." He smiled, his tone soothing. "Of course, my dear. Tell me everything." She hesitated, the Force tingling, a warning too late. As she spoke, the room darkened, his presence shifting. "You've been thorough," he said, his voice deepening. "Too thorough." Her saber ignited as she spun, but he was faster. A wave of Force lightning hurled her back, her body crashing against the wall. Palpatine stood, his face twisting into a sneer, his eyes yellow. "Did you think I wouldn't see, Jedi?" "I am Sidious." The twist struck like a blade. Her mentor, her friend, the Sith Lord all along. She staggered to her feet, saber raised. "No. How could you?" "Power," he rasped, lightning crackling. "The Republic's weakness begged for it, and you, Padme, were my greatest pawn, until now." She fought, her blade clashing with his dark energy, but he was relentless. Clones burst in, her guards, now his, blasters firing. She deflected, desperation fueling her, and leapt through a window, tumbling onto a speeder platform below. Bruised but alive, she fled, her mind reeling. Anakin found her in the temple, panic in his eyes. "Padme, what happened? The Chancellor's declared the Jedi traitors. Order 66 is active." She grabbed him, breathless. "He's the Sith, Anakin. Palpatine. Sidious. He's behind it all." His face paled, then hardened. "Then we kill him. Now." "No," she said, pulling him back. "The Jedi are falling. We need to regroup, warn the others." But the temple shook, clones storming in, led by a figure in black. Anakin ignited his saber, blue against the red of betrayal. "I won't let them take you," he vowed. They fought, a whirlwind of light against the tide. Padme's healing kept them standing, her diplomacy useless now. They escaped barely, fleeing to Mustafar to rally survivors. There, Obi-Wan joined them, his face ashen. Yoda's alive, but the Order's shattered. Palpatine's Emperor now. Anakin's rage boiled. "I trusted him. I'll end him." Padme gripped his arm. "We will, together, but we need a plan." He nodded, but the Force around him darkened, a storm she feared she couldn't tame. The twist came as they planned. A transmission crackled through. A hooded figure, not Palpatine, but a woman, her voice chillingly familiar. "Padmé Amidala, your light blinds you. I am Darth Sereth, the true heir of the Sith. Sidious was my puppet, and now I claim my empire." Padme froze, the voice echoing in her soul. It was her own, distorted, dark, a mirror of what she could have been. The Force surged, revealing the truth. A splinter of her spirit, born from her suppressed doubts, her buried fears, given life in Sidious's alchemy. A clone, a dark twin, crafted to destroy her. Anakin stared, horrified. "What is this?" "My shadow," Padme whispered, saber trembling. "The Sith's final weapon." The screen faded, leaving them in silence. The galaxy burned, the Jedi fell, and Padme faced not just Palpatine, but herself. A twist of fate that would define the war's end. The fight ahead loomed vast. Palpatine's empire, Sereth's betrayal, and Anakin's teetering soul. Padme's light held, but the Force trembled, her destiny now a battle against her own darkness.